everybody. It's Ann Duffy, and we have a special guest today, and I will introduce her in just a second. I wanted to first of all say happy TGIF. I don't know about you, but I am thrilled that it's Friday. I'm looking forward to a great weekend, and I hope you are too. We are so excited to have our special guest here today. She is, I'm going to read her bio to you. But just so you know, we're friends. We've known each other for a long time. She's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to what we're going to talk about at the DeW retreat. The big thing that we wanted to bring to dentistry is the idea of knowing your strengths and living your strengths. And this young lady is a Gallup trained strengths coach, as well as a corporate team leader and developer of people. Her specialties include team building seminars, one-on-one coaching, and customized interpersonal strength sessions. Please help me welcome Valerie Menzel.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Thank you for joining us on Be Live. Let me continue with Val's amazing bio here. Valerie's work experience includes hosting and producing television shows, public speaking, voiceover work, managing outreach for one of the nation's most respected nonprofits, and 15 years of producing photo shoots and managing the creative planning department for a Fortune 500 cosmetics company. She has successfully managed 19 moves in seven states and 3 career changes, which has given her a unique understanding of the issues facing families and individuals who are starting over. Skilled at learning to adapt, she often coaches people who are looking to reinvent themselves. Valerie graduated summa cum laude from James Madison University with a degree in communication and theater. In addition to strengths coaching, she serves on the Living Your Strengths Advisory Board and volunteers at the largest Catholic church in the country as the on-camera host of Matt TV and lecturer and co-chair of Moving On After Moving In, a nationwide support group that helps women in transition. Just so you know, Valerie's top 5 talent themes are maximizer, empathy, harmony, developer, and achiever. So welcome, Val. I'm so happy to have you on our program today. It's only our 3rd webinar that we're doing. So y'all just have to really be patient with us as we navigate the technology that is out there that, sometimes it throws us for a loop. Right, Valerie?
Absolutely.
So I tell you, everybody, let me just tell you how this came about and why Valerie is on our podcast today, or our webinar. First of all, her partner in crime, Leanne Burnett, is over in Europe having the last bit of her summer vacation. So we've got Valerie all to ourselves today. And I ran into Valerie a couple of years ago, and I was just so amazed at her breadth of knowledge of the Strengths Finders 2.0, which totally changed my life. And one of the main reasons that I wanted to begin DeW Life magazine and this movement was to bring strengths to the dental industry. I had taken so many different personality tests, but for some reason, y'all, this one totally changed my life and the life of my family, because my husband Tom took it, and our 2 of our 3 adult children took it at the same time. Totally life-changing for all of us. Our son that's out in California, he ended up taking it, and we've just had the best discussions about really what I want. What happened to me is I fell in love with myself, and I fell in love with my family and accepted them for who they are. Instead of trying to put that round or that square peg in a round hole, I learned to accept them. And so Valerie knows the aha, the epiphanies that we've had. And with that, Valerie, just if you'll explain to everybody a little bit your journey into strengths and why it's so important to you.
Well, like you, Anne, I have taken all those different assessments, the DISC and the Myers-Briggs and the Strong and the 360 and all of that. And I've always loved psychology. I've always loved self-help books and was one to share whatever I learned with everyone I met, or, I've learned this great thing, I've got to tell you about it, So that's always been sort of my thing. And when I moved to Charlotte 7 years ago, I took this Living Your Strengths program, which was being offered by our church. I had never heard of it before. And it just resonated with me because the whole strength psychology premise is embrace what's great about you and just soar with that. partner with people who have what you don't have. They're doing their thing, you're doing your thing, and everybody's better for it. And it just made sense to me. I had spent 15 years in the corporate world, and the one thing I absolutely despised was giving performance reviews. I hated giving them. I hated getting them, because it was always about what's wrong with you. And, we want you to do this, and you need to fix this, instead of celebrating what's really great about that person, and then helping them to do that better or do more of that or find a way to really let them shine. It was all about trying to fix people or criticize them or put them down. And that wasn't motivating. It was demoralizing. It didn't help anyone. And then that just made me crazy. So when I learned about this program, I was like, wow, finally somebody gets it. It's not about tearing people down. It's about building them up. And if we could all just allow ourselves to embrace what's great about each person and let them just go with that, the world would be such a better place, So it really spoke to me. And so much so that I took the class, immediately became trained as a coach, started coaching people as a volunteer for years, helping them work through their results and figuring out, what does that mean for me? How do I utilize this in my life? And what I also love about it is it's not just about your career. This is about every aspect of your life, your relationships, your marriage, your children, your coworkers, people you volunteer with, your friends. It applies to every single part of your life and can help you make better decisions for yourself. What's my best yes? That's what it's all about. Finding out what's your best yes. So I love that. I love that it inspires people. It makes them feel validated. All of a sudden the light bulbs go off and they're like, oh, this is why I do things the way I do. Inevitably, that's what people go away with it from.
Yeah. And I loved when I found out what my strengths were. One of mine was a ranger. And then when we would drive places, I would always say, well, I think we could get there a better or faster way. And after taking this, I could tell Tom, said, honey, I'm a ranger. Let me do this, right? I'm the one that's really good at this.
Right.
I'm not good with directions, but I know how to arrange something. So
exactly.
I think that's so good. And, I think you said something that really resonates with me, Valerie, is I feel like when you concentrate, especially like going back to the reviews, when you concentrate on somebody's weaknesses, I think it gives somebody a lack of confidence, right? Because that's what, again, I loved about the strengths is like, you're like, oh, I can celebrate myself. I'm supposed to celebrate myself and then build on those versus, oh, I do wish I was a little more strategic. And I mean, you'll talk more about that at the retreat, I'm sure, about, what strengths envy.
Yeah.
I think that, when you see that where your strengths really lie, then you realize, oh, I need somebody on my team that's strategic. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But also tell me, how does it, I loved your resume or your bio, because it seems like not only just, getting into strengths, but just your maximizer theme, your harmony developer, and then just going after it like you are, being an achiever. It seems like it does really line up for you to actually carry that forward and be a coach, because you understand people. You're a good listener, right?
Right, exactly. Well, that's sort of the aha moment I had after I took the class, because I thought, wow, this is what, all of a sudden the pieces kind of fell into place. I had always been a coach and a cheerleader for people in my life ever since I was a little kid. So all of a sudden it made sense to me. I was like, oh, this is why, I don't like conflict. This is why I want everyone to get along. This is why I'm always trying to help people be the best they can be, because I'm a developer, and this is why I'm super productive, and I don't feel good unless I'm doing things and getting things done. I'm an achiever. A maximizer is someone who takes something that's just okay and wants to make it the best it can possibly be. And I'm always doing that. So all of a sudden it made sense for me, and it was very validating. And I think, when you understand what you're really good at, and how you're wired, and what you really love to do, or what you really care about, and you marry those things, you've got gold. That's how you really soar in life, when you embrace all those things. And that's true for everything we've seen throughout history. I mean, that's what strategic planning is about. It's what strategy is all about. Focus on your strengths. Don't try to fix your weaknesses, because I don't care, for years I could spend, banging my head in the wall. I'll never be what I'm not. I just won't. I can learn it. I can improve. that's why the fixing what's wrong with you thing is really kind of counterintuitive, because you can't be what you're not. You just it'll never be natural for you. It'll never be your go-to place. You'll never be at your best when you're trying to be something that you're not. You're going against your grain.
Yeah, I think that one of the things I remembered them talking about, that if it seems easy for you, then it's right. And it probably lines up with your strengths. And I remember being in our first strength, when we took the assessment and the facilitation as a family, I was with a good friend of mine, and she was working in her home office for a huge company, and she was miserable. Mm-hmm. And through the whole strength facilitation, she realized, oh, you know what? I should have been a kindergarten teacher, and I would have been really happy in that mode. And I thought, how great. I was so happy that I took it. But my goal is to how cool would it have been if I or you or, we could have taken it when we were in college or even high school, right? Because they've got it for teens. Yeah. And just to say, okay, this might be something I want to look at. This might be a path. Because I think that there's what you're going to find at the retreat with the women in dentistry is that we're all, not patting ourselves on the back. We're smart. We have to be, because we can't get through dental hygiene school and get through or dental or assisting or dental school or just be in the level of science, I guess, that we all are in this profession without having a pretty decent brain. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of women get into a certain path in dentistry. And I'll use that because that's really what our target is, women in dentistry. And it's not really, they go through all that education and it's not quite right for them. And so this is where it's very cool that dentistry has a lot of different career paths. So, you can pivot, you can make a change, and you can end up being fulfilled in your career. And that's one of the other things that, and I didn't even realize, this is funny, I didn't even realize that this actually lines up with the strengths that we're going to be doing at the retreat, because one of the goals I had for Do Life magazine was to bring wonderful, amazing women into dentistry, right? And to hold on to the hands of the young women coming in and in the middle, push them up, and then, just push all women up in dentistry, right?
Right.
And what I didn't realize was that, just doing that, is going to make such a difference when they finally realize what their strengths are. And the goal for me was to keep them in dentistry, right? Because we get all these amazing women in and they get so burnt out, they don't like that path that they're on. But in this broad profession, which is a wonderful profession to, help people, give them a smile. We are just in the caring profession. It's just a wonderful, there's just so many things about dentistry that I love. That don't have anything to do with with being a dental hygienist and doing recare appointments and perio maintenance. But I think that it's just so great to be able to, okay, here's another path you might want to take that would line up with your strengths, right? Mm-hmm. Because now they'll know what their strengths are. And once I found out what mine were, and you can speak a little bit to this. Well, first of all, I wasn't all that happy about them. I was like, my first one was woo, and woo is winning others over. And it just felt so shallow. And, people always would say, golly, she's just smiley all the time. And I'm like, I know it. I'm so sorry. Part of the woo persona, right? And so when I finally realized, oh my gosh, that's one of my strengths. Yeah. I'm just going to smile all the time anyway. And know that that's something that I was given kind of, a God-given higher powered talent that I've learned to embrace. And if everybody could embrace them early in their career, how cool would that be?
Absolutely. Well, that's why we actually coach high school seniors and college graduates, because I believe the same. I think if you're starting out in the world and you understand how I'm wired, what I'm good at, you can make such better choices for yourself. You can avoid all that angst and anxiety of, oh my gosh, what do I major in? What path do I take? What job do I take? It just makes everything so much clearer. It's so much easier to make a good choice and to to find places where you really fit in and where you can really shine. And it's absolutely right what you're saying. Your strengths don't tell you what to do. They tell you how you do it. It tells you how you show up, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, we could all be teachers. Not saying that we should, but we could all be teachers, but we would be different kinds of teachers. We would approach it from a different perspective. We would teach it in a different way. We would have a different specialty or a different subject that we would enjoy teaching, you know? So it's the same idea that you're talking about. You can look at these strengths and say, okay, you know, maybe the role I've put myself in isn't really the right fit. What could I do to shift that? Or, you know, how can I apply that into some other way and still be part of this wonderful industry that I love and that I'm, you know, so proud to be a part of. So it's absolutely what you're talking about. And
Oh,
yeah, celebrating that.
and celebrating that. And also, I think you guys came in, you and Leanne came into our dental office. I loved that. I mean, that was such an eye opener for us when everybody in the office discovered their strengths. And we'll talk a little bit about the assessment. And man, it just shifted everything in the office because all of a sudden we valued each person for what they brought to the party. So we had, I think, 10 of us took it, including our doc. And boy, it was eye opening. And it really changed the dynamic in the office. We all, it was a big appreciation for each other. And I loved that as well. And we still talk about it now. I mean, that was about almost, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what we do when we do team building seminars for companies. That's exactly what our intention is. We go in, we help this team to understand who they're working with. And once you understand that, hey, you know, all of us are different. We as humans assume everyone sees and thinks and perceives things the same way that you do.
Yeah.
Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Everyone sees things differently, and that's not wrong. It's just different. So once you understand that, you have compassion, you have understanding, all of a sudden you can communicate better. You know, we had this great example. There was this one associate we worked with, and he was losing his mind. He's responsibility. So he takes deep ownership of everything he does. He doesn't need someone on his shoulder telling him what to do. He just needs the freedom to go do his thing. Well, his boss was, you know, had his thumb on this guy, you know, trying to hold his hand through every piece of the process, tell him how to do his job. And it was making him crazy. He's like, you know, and when we finally had them talk to each other, the boss was like, well, I thought I was helping you. And the guy's like, no, I can't stand to be micromanaged. I just want the freedom to do my thing. And I'll come back to you with something great because I can take care of this. I've got the self-discipline to do that. So once they understood that, you know, the light bulbs went off. And then everyone could work more effectively. So we see that over and over and over again, you know. Oh, Sally is, you know, an activator. She wants answers to her email immediately. Well, Jane is a deliberative. She needs time to kind of think through everything, noodle on it, figure out what her, you know, how she wants to approach it. So, you know, it was taking her weeks to get back to her. And Sally's like, what? I want an answer now. You know, what are you doing? So when they figured it out, it was like, oh, okay, you need time to mull this over. I want something quick. How about we have, you know, a 3-day time, you know, period between answers. You know, that gives you time to think about it, and that gives me an answer quicker than 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, and that everybody understands each other, right?
Right.
And it's not looked as a that's interesting because then the young lady, the Sally that doesn't answer the emails on it and you know immediately,
right?
You can appreciate that. Okay, so that's just not one of her strengths, but she's still going to answer, and when she does answer it, it's going to be a darn good answer.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. When she answered it, it's solid. She's 200% ready to go, but she needs time to think it through. She's cerebral, right?
Yeah, and understand that. So in other words, it's not everybody. Well, that's it though. Everybody has strengths and everybody's special in their own way. So in other words, it's almost like you would think that would be a real negative, but in a sense, no, that's her way. And that's why she's like she is. And that's a strength. Mm-hmm. Because when the big decisions come around, she's not going to be a knee-jerk reaction. You might just talk to her and you know that she's going to have given a lot of thought to it and to how we're going to proceed. And then that would be maybe a time to listen and be open to her input, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the beauty of that is when you do find, you know, sort of opposites like that, they really help each other. You can partner with someone like that by saying, okay, you nudge me along and get me moving quicker because I take forever, but I'm going to slow you down so that maybe you don't, you know, make a rash decision that's going to be a disaster. So they help each other. If you're aware of that, if you can respect that, if you can, you know, understand how the other person works, all of a sudden it's so much easier to get along and to get things done. And then when you figure out, oh, this person's really good at this, so let them be in charge of that project. Or, we need a Woo, we need, an Anne, so that she can talk to the people, because Jack over here is an introvert. He just wants to work on, the strategy piece. He doesn't feel comfortable with all those people. So let Anne go talk to the people, right? So all of a sudden you start to put people where they really can do their best work. We always talk to these groups and say, are you getting the most out of your people, or are you getting the best out of them? We can help you get the best out of them, because the funny thing about this is a lot of times people get these results and they don't think well, that's not special. How's that a talent? How is that a strength?
Right.
Sometimes they'll look at it as, either their weakness, or they'll just be like, what's the big deal? Everybody's like that. Well, no, not everybody is. And when they realize, wow, that's what makes me successful. Being the smiley Woo who's wonderful with people has inevitably helped you with every success you've had in your life. If you look back through your lifetime, you will see that that's the case. These strengths pop up. They're your powerhouse. They're your secret sauce.
I know.
They are. They
and so
really, truly are.
I've learned to really, really grab onto them. I mean, I know that actually where I'm at right now, all my strengths line up for it. And, that is so comforting, especially when you get to be my age at the end of my career. I'm like, thank goodness I, have looked for opportunities naturally to build on my strengths. And this is where I find myself now. But, I think also just being able to understand everybody around me and appreciate everybody. That was the one really other piece that I just, I adore about this. And it's interesting also, Valerie, in dentistry, I'm just thinking about this now. Everything is team playing in dentistry. I mean, the dentist, the assistant, their team, the whole office, community. Then when the consultants come in, they have to get the team working well. And in the big companies every company, I'm sure, could use this. And there are a couple companies, I know that when we were in Charlotte and we were doing some things with strengths, there were some companies that was mandatory when someone got hired, that they would do the strengths assessment. And yet it doesn't really work it doesn't really manifest itself, I don't think, until you go through a facilitation.
Oh,
I really find that, just getting a piece of paper with your strengths on it, that's good. That's just like another test. But the facilitation and what you and Leanne are going to do for all of the women at this meeting on Thursday night is going to be, they're going to walk away from Thursday night knowing who they are and I'm so excited about that. They're interested on how to get the assessment. And also I thought it's really interesting that we're almost sold out. Do you believe it? We haven't even promoted this thing. We've got about 6 seats left. So ladies, if you're listening and you want to come to the retreat, go to our website, DeW.life right now and sign up, because we're at six seats left, and it's November 14 and 15. It starts on Thursday night at 5:00. We're going to have wine and hors d'oeuvres, and then Valerie's going to kick us off with the coaching and the facilitation. I guess should we call it a facilitation? What would you call it, Valerie, that you and Leanne are actually doing for us?
It's a training. We do seminars for companies like this, and it's the same type of work that we do for them. And it's, we found the same thing to be true, Anne. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there, a lot of people out there who will take the assessment and then they just look at it and put it in a desk drawer, and that's the end of it. Mm-hmm. We have found a unique and inspirational way of teaching people how to use it. So that's what we're passionate about. It's not enough just to do the assessment. That's great. Let's do something with it. How do I maximize this? How do I leverage this to be my best self, to maximize my potential? So that's what we want people to take away from the retreat that first night is, wow, this is what's great about me. What do I do with it now? And to be on fire with that.
And how to live it, right? Because we talked about it, living your strengths. And you and I were kind of talking yesterday and thinking, well, I wonder if we could come up with a different name for what we're doing. But I do believe that they walk away and they realize they are going to be living their strengths and growing them, right? Because when you find out, then it's like a muscle, right? I mean, you've got to look for opportunities to make it stronger. And more widely appreciated in your own self. And I would just say before I would like you to talk a little bit about, because some people, after I got off track, sorry guys, but like we've only got 70 seats here for the retreat, and only about 6 women that have signed up so far have taken the Strengths Finders assessment, and no one's ever done any training on it except Bet Johnson. I talked to her yesterday, so I love you, Bet. Shout out to you, because she actually brought it to her team and is a coach herself. So I wish she could come. She's got another engagement, but I thought, wow, of course she's somebody that's an icon and a do extraordinaire. So I wasn't surprised when she told me that she had taken it on to actually become a coach herself. But tell everybody about how we're going to get them the assessment. And then also some people said, oh, I'll take it again. And so I'd like your thoughts on that, Valerie, on those 2 points.
Well, whenever, and this comes up, I've taken it before, but it was 10 years ago. Should I take it again? Actually, the first time you take it is really the most authentic, and you don't have to retake it. If you wish, you can. That's not a problem. And if you don't have your login information from 10 years ago, you simply call Gallup. They will find it for you in their system. It's in there forever. Over 20 million people have taken this assessment now, and over 90% of Fortune 500 companies use it to improve their organizations. So they keep all that data. They've got it all. Don't worry. They'll find you. So you can go back in and just reuse what you've already done. If you want to do it again, that's fine too. And the question always comes up, if I take this multiple times, am I going to get different results? Well, the answer is yes and no, because, there isn't just the top 5, there's 34 of them, and we have them all, but in various degrees, right? So your top half is really the tools that you use all the time. And I'm meaning your top 12, your top 15, that's your powerhouse. Okay. Those are the ones you're using constantly. So if you take this assessment 10 years ago, depending on what's going on in your life, maybe what position you have, are you more focused on your parenting at this moment or what have you, whatever's going on for you, those things might shift your results compared to where you are today.
Okay.
However, maybe slightly shift. So number 1 will never become number 34. They will never be a drastic, everything upside down, move all around. Things might shift, 4 might become 5 or 7 might become 2. So your top half is always going to be your top half. You've been wired this way since the day you were born. These show up in children. You see it in children. You see the raw form of these. We talk about command, for example, which is a very strong talent, right? And as a child, a command was probably a bully or maybe really aggressive or bossy. And then once they learn how to hone that, once they've gone through some life experience and some, you would hope anyway, they've developed it, they've tempered it, and they could become an amazing leader, charismatic leader, right? So it happens that way throughout our lives. We're always changing, we're always developing, we're always improving, hopefully, right? So your raw to your developed form, your mature form of these could affect your results, but you will never have it be so drastic that it's upside down. The top half will shift a little bit, but not drastically. So your top half will usually always stay the same. So to answer that question, yes, you can use your old one. It's probably very authentic because you've never seen this whole thing before. It's your first gut reaction. Some people like to try to, once they've taken it, they could take it again and try to play the system so they get whatever results they want, right? You can't really do that the first time out of the gate because you don't know what you're even looking at. But it's a very easy assessment. It takes about 45 minutes. It's all online. What happens is we will be emailing you a code. You'll go to the Gallup website, you put in the code, you take the assessment, it'll share the results with the administrator, and then if you wish, you can share the results with other people. So that's how you could share it with your manager, for example, if your team was taking the whole thing. But it's a very simple thing, and it's timed. So you only have a certain amount of time to answer the question. And then, their algorithm is so incredible. I don't even know how they've done it. It's, 4 decades of research have gone into this. This isn't just some airy-fairy little thing that someone made up. This is psychological research for 4 decades, have refined this, fine-tuned this. I mean, people always are amazed by how it just nails them. This is me. How did they know this was me? And
Yeah.
these results they'll give you these great reports. And one of the reports is so individual. It's crazy. My business partner Leanne said, I always tell people, what's not good about this. And they even said in my report that I'm tempted to say, what's good about this? How did they know that? It's crazy how insightful and how on the money it is. And that's why people are often really shocked by the results, because it's like, wow, how did they figure me out from this test? How did they do that? But that's how good it is. That's how real it is. And that was one of the things I loved about it, is it really speaks to people. It really makes sense. It's something you can really ingest and understand. And it's not so esoteric, it's not kind of out there and,
it's real
airy-fairy kind of thing.
It's real time. And I think when you go through the facilitation or the training that we're going to be going through, I guarantee they're going to be like me. And now I love my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take it again, because I've owned my strengths. I know what they are. So I would never want to fool with that initial reaction, which I didn't know what I was actually doing. And not even all that happy doing it. I'm like, okay, I'll do this, right? But that's one of the things I wanted to let everybody know. So that's great information. We have put that into the what is it? The sign up. So your assessment will come to you. It's part of your sign up, everyone. So that will be, we're going to send those out. And Valerie, we didn't want to send them out too early because, it takes 45 minutes, as you said. And if we send it too early, it'll get lost in your email. So how soon do you think we'll send those out to everybody before the retreat, November 14th?
Yeah, I would say probably a month lead time is good. Okay. That gives people a little bit of wiggle room, because life is busy. We're all very busy.
Yeah.
And you should take it when you're not distracted. Don't take it while you're watching TV or when the kids are asking you to help with homework or what have you. Take it when you can just, focus on what you're doing. Because like I said, the answers are timed. So if you don't answer quickly enough, they're going to take that into an account, right?
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that everybody gets that. And then they're going to want to share it with their husbands or significant other and their kids. I think we're going to just spread our DeW and the strengths, around the world of dentistry. I mean, that's, and to really understand that, I think that's going to be just really epic. I'm extremely excited. And again, I know you and Leanne, I've seen what you do. You guys are magical of bringing this out. And it really, and really it's so much fun. And it's in a relatively short period of time, you guys seem to be able to get it all in. We're going to do that on Thursday night of the retreat. And then on that Friday, we're going to start with some amazing speakers all day that will, kind of play into that. And I think that it's just going to be, really special. And I'm thrilled that you and Leanne are part of it. Now, we can find a little bit about you, because I think, once some of us get a hold of the training, we can find you at your website. And if you'll share that with everybody, we just want to give you guys a taste of it and how excited we are about it. And how excited we want you to be joining us all together to grow together and to really appreciate each other. Vicki said to me, it sounds like your retreat attendees it's going to be, who am I, who are you, and who are we? Who are we, DEWs, dental entrepreneur women, and what are we going to accomplish together? And that's the key. That's how we lift people up. It's all working together, right? In synergy and supporting each other, loving on each other. There's no room for scarcity mentality here. This is all about everybody's special, right, Valerie? Everybody has special talents, and we really want to acknowledge them for that. So tell us a little bit about, or tell us how we can get a hold of you and how we can get a hold of you and Leanne for on your website.
Yes, our website is strengthssavvy.com. And we do have a Facebook page and Twitter and LinkedIn and all of that. We are so delighted, Anne, to be a part of it. We're passionate about it. We can't get enough of it. We live and eat and breathe this stuff, and we just love sharing it with other people. And to your point, it's not just about me. one of the wonderful things about this is it's understanding everyone around you, and that includes your family and everybody that you deal with. And that's one of the things I love is when husbands and wives take it. Or, we had this one family that did it at Thanksgiving where everyone took it and then they talked about it after Thanksgiving dinner, which I thought was brilliant, because whenever you're in a dynamic with a group of people, you start to understand, well, oh gosh, this is why you drive me crazy. And this is why you do that. This is why you have to have everything so perfect in your room. You're a neat freak, of course, you're a maximizer. So of course, but when you have a common vocabulary from which to speak, and then you can really communicate with someone. You can really understand them. And all of a sudden it's not about, oh, they're just trying to do that on purpose to make me nuts. It's because that's who they are. And that, and that's okay. And that's great. I had
that's okay. That's right.
It's an epiphany almost, and I had that with my son. I had my 17-year-old son take it. Of course, he couldn't be bothered. He didn't want to have any part of it. But for me, it was this huge epiphany because I was like, wow, I thought I knew this kid. I raised this kid. His results blew my mind. And all of a sudden, I understood why we were butting heads. He's adaptability. He flies by the seat of his pants. He wants to get things done at the last minute. He's motivated by that, pressure at the last minute. I can't stand that. I'm a maximizer. I get things done weeks ahead of time. I'm an achiever. Or, responsibility is high for me. If I have a deadline, it's, done way in advance. He has a deadline, it's done 2 minutes before. Of course, we were butting heads all the time.
And it's a strength of his, right? Because we need people like that. That is so funny. And I think as moms, golly, are we always trying to put our kids in a certain bin and, want them to be this way or that way. And they need to be just who they are. And that is just, it's such a gift to have experienced that with my family as well. So
yeah, exactly. You want them to be little mini yous, and they're not. And once you figure that out, our relationship changed drastically. I really started to respect the fact that he was going to get there. He was just going to get there entirely differently than I was. Yeah. And, I had to respect that. And I had to appreciate that was his process. His process will never be mine, and vice versa. And once I figured that out, boy, it was much easier to get along and to get things done, So we hope that we can inspire everyone to share it with their families, to share it with their spouses, their significant others, to the people that they care about in their lives. Because
their teams, right? Their teams. I mean, we did it with my girlfriend. So we had a great trip planned in Mexico. And so everyone did their strengths assessment. Then we had cocktails every night. And it was just so much fun. And of the four of us, everybody had one common strength. So it's just going to be fun. And so we can go on Strength Savvy to see a little bit more about what you guys do. They'll have all that at the retreat. We were kind of like, I want to just apologize in case anybody had questions. We weren't too good on our technology today. Questions, you can, when we repost this again, put your questions in there and we'll make sure that we get those answered. All of you that are signed up for the retreat, let's see, we are in August now, the end of August. And it's actually Tom and my 44th wedding anniversary today.
Oh, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
I'm glad I know his strengths because I do appreciate him so much more than I did before we found those out. And so we'll probably be sending that out, let's see, in October. So it'll be coming to everybody. And just if you have any questions between now and then, you can reach out to me. You guys, my information's on our website, and Valerie and Leanne are strengthsavvy.com. So thank you, Valerie.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And happy anniversary.
Thank you. And I can't wait to see you in November on the 14th. And I can't wait to see all of you. So you guys take care and happy Friday. Thanks. Did I end the